Alright, guess who's back? Your boy KyoKusagani's back to give you the best games you never heard of. And tonight, I'm playing the sequel to Ghouls and Ghosts, Roosters, otherwise known as Wonder 3. This is one of the more unusual Capcom releases, and it's better known as the game where that Marvel vs. Capcom guy came from. The little elf named Lo. Turns out, he has a kick-ass game, and you're watching its epic intro right now. This is, a game that was split into 3 separate games in one board. This is the most unusual Capcom release ever, in the sense that you can choose from 3 games, and 2 of them are the same game split into 2 parts. So the basic gist of it is, we are playing as an elf explorer that doesn't have anything better to do, so we are dared to challenge the god of evil in order to bring peace and prosperity back to the kingdom. And we meet love along the way. Tons of asses are kicked and arrows are shot, so what are we waiting for? I'll tell you what, we're switching versions. We're not playing this version. We're using the Japanese version because it is considerably harder. Name, Wonder 3, window. Perfect. Okay, are the dip switches set? Yes, they are. Normal difficulty. The timer starts as soon as I insert coin. 3, 2, 1. There we go. I got my controller on hand now. I can skip the intro since you just saw it. This is Ghouls and Ghosts if it didn't have any of its bullshit. I'd like to think that some of the staff of Ghouls worked on this game as it shares some of its names, but they improved what was wrong with their former masterpiece. As in, you no longer have to rely on RNG for item drops. There is a bunch of predetermined items, and the treasure chests that do have RNG, you can actually despawn the items in them. So if you get the shitty bounce laser, you don't have to keep it. And therefore, you're not fudged for the rest of your run. But as for what the rest of the game like, I think it lives up to its title. This is a true wonder in all capacity, and I might as well show off what this does. It's stage 1. It's useful in sloped areas like these where it bounces off and ricochets, but it's too slow everywhere else. Thankfully, there is a hyper shot here. Anyway, I don't think there's any other fantasy that looks like this in the world. The artists behind this were inspired by old school tarot cards, and they fused that with Dungeons and Dragons, which Capcom was hugely fond of Gary Gygax's work, and the works of J.R. Tolkien as well. And what you get is something utterly unforgettable. I'm convinced that Nintendo took inspiration from this in order to make Wispy Woods, and a bunch of other things. There is also inspiration from this when Studio MDHR made Cuphead. A couple of other cool things that they added in here is the dash maneuver, which would be in Mega Man 3, and a bunch of other action games. You're actually invulnerable for a couple of frames when you use it, and that can get you out of a lot of emergency situations. Plus, it's better for speedrunning, and thus it lets you zip through the levels at double speed if you know them. That, coupled with the random enemy behaviors, leads to a platformer that is very replayable and very satisfying to play in every way possible. Sadly, its success was gutted by Street Fighter II, which, to be fair, Street Fighter II deserved its success. Street Fighter II was unlike anything else that came before it, except for Street Fighter 1, and that was extremely janky. It'd be really fun to smash up if you had one with the 2 buttons. No, I'm just enthusiastic, if you're asking if I'm a bot. I've had plenty of time to practice on this game, and I got a few sessions off. I've no missed this, and I hope I get to do that again. That gives me my clothes back if I'm missing them. Megamorph, just because. Two greatest beasts in the world turned into one perfect specimen. Except it gets its fat ass stuck in the hole, like Winnie the Pooh does. Oops! Well, I want to lay off on the corpses next time, if you want to track down some easy prey. Exactly. I'm reading chat right now, and there is nothing else like Street Fighter 2 out there. Street Fighter 2 was the first time a fighting game truly felt super fun to play. There was Great Swordsman and Gladiator, but that was more centered towards fighting the computer, and not other opponents. These Midnight Wanderers are a talented pair, but I am assured you'll stop them. These are the Terror Twins. They actually gave them a name in the localization. They're just the Laru brothers in Japanese, so Capcom USA actually made some things sound cooler. As for why I'm playing the Japanese version, it is considerably harder, like I mentioned earlier, to a very ludicrous degree. You're gonna notice there are Kaizo traps in this level. The good old-fashioned gotcha. Step on the floor and it collapses underneath you. They give some forewarning for that with the moving platforms in the water. They removed all those entirely, but just like Ghouls and Ghosts, there's way fewer enemy spawns in the US version. Japanese normal is the equivalent of US hardest, just to bear in mind. And I haven't gotten a clear on Japanese hardest yet, but it's on my bucket list of things to do. Anyway, as for the other wonders in this game, Chariot and Don't Pull, I'd say one of the other games is a wonder. I think Chariot being a wonder is a bit of an exaggeration outside the art, because we gotta talk about the development of this game. As, like I mentioned, you get 3 games in one to capitalize on the success of the Neo Geo. Or maybe Capcom were not confident in this game after Street Fighter 2 and only thought a simple puzzle game like Don't Pull would sell if it was attached to another game. And that's bizarre because Don't Pull is also pretty great, especially with friends. So having a second player to play Tengo with actually allows for crazy speedrun possibilities. You have to be pretty smart to figure out a route for one player yourself. And yeah, you're speaking of Guile, the development of Street Fighter 2 was also just as chaotic. Which, that just goes for Capcom being a free-for-all atmosphere. And that's what I loved about them so much. Some of the best ideas in games just came from them messing around and finding out. My favorite game, Devil May Cry, is the exact same way. And that was supposed to be a survival horror game, and that ended up being one of the greatest action games of all time. Taken after this and all the belt scrollers they made, which we're gonna see Murphigator play a few of those in the future. I love you nerds popping off about Street Fighter 2. You remind me of Prototype Zangief. They're in Location Test Street Fighter 2, or the first release of it. Zangief could actually get a round start spinning pile driver. It's true! Load the beta ROM and he can actually pull it off. They only patched it, it's only in the earliest version. It was still there. It's very close to a round start spinning pile driver. Somebody definitely hated Zangief, but I'm glad he's finally good in Street Fighter 6. That was very clean, clean, clean. And now I'm in the washing machine. The Laru brothers you should fight by, prioritizing the one that's on the ground rather than on standby. The one in the peanut gallery will stay there for a while. The one on the bottom chases you. I don't know how this works in 2-player, but they take turns, and they leave themselves open for them to get shot if it's not their turn yet. They very politely wait their turns because they're honorable like that. And I don't want to gang up one-on-one on a little elf boy. Huge mistake. Huge, huge, huge mistake to underestimate the cunning of the elves. Shit! Damn! Dude left a rip in my tights. Don't worry, I brought a spare pair of clothes with me. This part is actually plays to the fantasy. We meet the love of our life, Sina, and Gaia put a curse on the whole kingdom to turn everyone to wood. Which, there's various answers as to why we didn't just turn into wood as soon as the game started. We were given the tarot card at the beginning of the game, and I think that protects us from this curse. I would buy that as a reasonable explanation, but that's the power of fantasy. And there's lots of other explanations I'd be willing to buy, and that's Gaia cast this huge curse and used up all his power while we were out of range. I'd be willing to buy that. Sonic actually did that in Saturday Morning Sonic, and that was one of my favorite shows growing up. Concentrate here. I got the homing shot. Oh, no, you don't. Which allows me to play it far safer than aggressively. It is viable to bring the flamethrower with you, and that's the more aggressive option. I'm trying to go for a Deathless, so I'm going to be playing it cautiously right here. Which I especially have to do on stage 4 onward, but this allows me to pick off some targets early, and I think this is the safest option in the game. It doesn't make any of the other options or choices bad. I just gotta find out what does more DPS. The tail shot or the hyper shot. This allows me to spam more. I can't believe I survived that. Good hit, forgiving hitbox. What the heck? Let's pick the locks while we're at it. These guys won't know since they're wood. They got the Slimer mounts from Ghostbusters here. I ain't afraid of no ghost myself. And now I'm giving this game a ghost of a... Of all the stinkiest eggs to have on my face. Really? For surely. I am not such a stupid motherbucker. Yeah, fart you, pal. Fart you. Fall off this wall right now. I am not too happy about that death, so I'm gonna pretend it didn't happen. That was me being stupid. Oh well, it is what it is. Humpty Dumpty, I made Humpty Dumpty fall off this wall. All the king horses and all the king's men ate really well together and forever. Except there is no king. La 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 la. Good thing I still have my homie shot. The game is forgiving on death, thankfully. So, this is my strategy. I just wait before the platforms start collapsing on me. So I can pick off the turrets before they even have a chance to hit me. They're giving a lot of leeway before these things collapse too, but now I gotta go. Yeah! Talk again when I'm through with this part. This ain't easy either. This is when the game stops having mercy on you, and by this point expects you to know its mechanics. Come on, come out. Oh, gotta go. There we go. Nice! Oh, nice. Just one more set of jumps to make, and I can talk again. That's another example of Japanese difficulty. The Kaizo bats that'll kill you if you don't have the homing shot. We'll be aggressive again since the boss is easier. There we go. And this guy is... I'm not gonna tell you what this guy is. He's a schlong with arms. Or maybe he's a Shrek after a bad day in the outhouse. And he has a really big sword, so he's definitely compensating for something. But he's not very good at swinging it around. Chat said it. Chat said it for me. Thank you. Mutant Pod agreed. That's what we're gonna go with for the sake of this marathon. If only we were strong enough to lift this great sword so we can slash everything in sight. But our agility and reflexes are good enough. To the Demon's Castle! Barging in the front, barging into the Dark Lord's gates. And he's clowning around over here. This is when the game starts getting really difficult, by the way. The first really problematic section is when the game moons you continuously. There's a stairwell with a bunch of clowns and moons falling from the sky, which probably inspired I Wanna Be the Guy. The wackier ideas of this game are great, and they probably didn't give a fart when they made it. But there's usually cohesion to the themes in a fantasy. The jesters and whatnot are common cards in the tarot deck. Trying to remember here, since a bunch of the bosses and constellations are based off the cards. It's right here. There's the Hanged Man card. And then there were the moons, I believe. The cups and the moons. I'm not very good at tarot. I guess I gotta give myself a refresher of what they all are. But Gaia was definitely inspired by the World card. And Witch! The Witch is a bitch. She can get out of here. That's what makes this part problematic. I better shut up and put up. You just have to know where the witch is. Super shot! Ooh! Ooh! Nice! 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 I got lucky. It's better to be lucky than it is to be good sometimes, but I'm not out of the woods yet. Ah! There we go! Now we're out of the woods. There! I overcame the first really difficult part of this game. Oh! And now it's just a matter of patience and killing the spawns. You're fine as long as you keep jumping to dodge enemies. But yeah, you have the devil to deal with at the end of part 2 of the story, which is the Shemut Chariot. And the Chariot itself was also a card in the tarot deck. I think that's what they were going for. They made a cohesive fantasy and story out of all the cards in the deck. And they maybe would have done more if this game were actually successful. This is either the moon card or, yeah, this is the moon card. This is the moon, for sure. Which, House of the Dead also took inspiration from. The worst attack is just him bouncing around. I hate when Capcom moons me. I hate it so much. Put it back where it came from, or so help me! Got it! Better safe than sorry, better safe than sorry. Got it! Ah, there we go. Don't worry, Manticore, we found a spare pair of trousers in the moon's closet. And we helped ourselves to a lot of cheese on the moon, too. I watched Wallace and Gromit when I was 5, so I know what the moon is supposed to be like. Okay, this part's really hard. There are so many trap witches on the Japanese version. Oh. I think this part speaks for itself. It's evil. Witch, witch, witch! Ah, I couldn't help it. Yep. If you don't react immediately, you die. That's the way this level is. And that's what I got all my extra lives for. Which I'd have 3 in stock if I didn't set it to 1 life at the beginning. Alright, this'll do. I got the witch this time. Good. These things, the wall guns. Your health bar might as well not matter here. You're gonna die in 1 hit because you fall through the platform anyway. Oh no, you bitch! why my headphones keep getting cut out. But as long as OBS is picking it up from the game, that's fine. Okay, good. Easy boss time. Okay. Just gotta remember to duck on Predator-Morph over here. Yeah, Predator-Morph. Yeah, that's a good name for it. Like that. See, if I were standing up, that would have hit me. When he punches low, the hitbox is way smaller. Like the sprite, the animation becomes way bigger when he punches forward just due to the way they animate it, and no other reason. Last stretch of the game right here. There's only one more difficult spot, and that's the last set of stairs going up to the top of the tower. Which, the level itself is the tower. I think that makes the most amount of sense. They put the moon and the world inside the tower. Which, this was based off of the tower art on all those cards. Which it is a very mighty and impenetrable tower to all but the strongest. Oh no, you don't! Goblin ain't gonna gank me today? This ain't the hard one, you just have to be patient here. Yoink! The hard part comes up immediately after this. Oh, you're dead. Okay, good. I got you right in the nards if you have any. It's a good time to find out. Alright, deep breaths. I'm gonna belch all that gas out because we're gonna need as much air as we can for this. There's one more witch here, I think. No? I'm watching anyway, I'm going slow. Okay, this is it. This is the hardest part of the game. By far. But I have tech for it. Your hitbox is forgiving enough that you can hang from the ledge and not get hit by Humpty Dumpty. Ah, never mind, I got spawn killed. Never mind. It's fine. Just don't get hit, gamer. Just get good. But that's the strategy. Your hitbox is only in the middle of your body and not your hat or legs, so you can use that to your advantage. There. Sometimes it just happens. It is what it is. Okay. Now there's just 2 more witches before the last boss, and you get your clothes back, thankfully. It isn't the absolute hardest game, but it is quite a challenge, and it is really good for improving your platformer skills. I'd say that if you want to have a nice challenging platformer game that isn't ridiculous, like Alex Kidd in the Lost Stars, this would be a good choice for you. It's one of the best running guns I've ever played. And why do you think I've no missed it? Huh? Please die. Please die. Ah! Cook the fireplace. Yeah! Melt that steel. It's an angrier bomb, because now it's red. And that means if it's red, it's twice as pissed off. The red ones go faster, and they're stronger too, or so I heard. Fuck you, witch! Pardon my French. That one I didn't intend to say. Okay. She deserved that, though. She deserved that. Last boss. Alright. Only 2 miss? I'm gonna hold my breath on that. I might have jinxed myself. Last boss is more threatening. Looks more threatening than it is. As long as you keep dashing or sliding, you'll be okay. You'll always outspeed it because he freezes for a moment before his lightning comes out. Yoink! Literally killing the world here. This boss is super cool looking. And one of the best sprites Capcom ever drew. Yoink! Yoink! It's easy enough. It's not as bad as the sections before this, as long as you pay attention. On normal difficulty, he's polite enough to not spam fire so much. After all, the only way to fight fire is with fire. backdrops of all the constellations are super cool and foreshadowing as well. Which further gives validity to the theory that there was supposed to be another stage before this. Like, Chariot was supposed to be the second to last stage. You were supposed to fly up to the demon castle, and then that never happened, since we're on the ground, and then all of a sudden we're in a great castle in the sky. So it's like, you know, you were supposed to do a shmup stage to fly up to Gaia's castle, and then that got split off into its own separate game for game length. And that was a really dumb decision, since Chariot is the only one of these that's not a wonder. And that's game! That's game! That's game! And we're gonna do this, and we're gonna give the world a nice big smooch, cause it's a small world after all. It's a good world after all. Game! Alright, that's it! We bring Jesus back to the land.
Outstanding.
In all of his good grace. So this ending right here, this is proof. This is proof that the shmup stage was supposed to be a part of it. I'm pausing it right here. Because they travel back down to their planet after they destroyed the Devil's Castle. So it's like, they definitely, yeah, see, there's a perfect transition there. But it wouldn't be as wonderful as it is if the development wasn't so weird. I have not 1cc'd Chariot yet, and I don't intend to because it's the lesser part of this game, bar none. It really should have just been a stage in this game. I guess Capcom were worried about credit length. There's a lot of different questions I have, but we're not gonna get the answers that easily, so I can only speculate. Albeit, that was one really cool game, 1cc, one cool creation. I signed my name after the credits, and then we move on to the next. Thank you for the GGs, everybody. You should play it, Lyra. You should. This really is one of the most underrated arcade platforms ever made. And I got underestimate, too. Hey, I got 25 minutes instead of 27. Like KXO? No. I don't got my exosuit on. Who's this guy, and what's he doing here? There we go, Kyle. There we go. That's game, everyone. That's game. All right. You can now transition over to Gun Force, as we got another run and gun coming up, made by the masters at IREM. A game that's possibly just as cool or even cooler than this, depending on who you ask. I think this game is better, but Gun Force is still pretty cool. So I'm gonna set that up in the transition, and I'll see you in a few minutes.